Welcome to Beats and Boots, the podcast where stories from music and subcultures around the world come together. Here, we want to explore the journey of skinheads and skin girls, road boys and road girls, punks, and everyone part of our subcultures. On each episode, we will dive deep into personal stories, how our guests discovered these scenes, faced challenges, found joy, unity, and identity through music. Join us on Beats and Boots, music and subculture stories. Welcome to Beats and Boots, music and subculture stories. Today's guest joins us from Gainesville, Florida. She's the powerful drummer behind two Oi bands, Wire Up and her newest project, Esprit, which brings together musicians from both Florida and Canada. Let's welcome Erin. Welcome. How are you?
I'm great.
Very well. Thank you so much for joining us and accepting my invitation. Ready to start?
Okay, let's do it.
Very well. So I would love to go back and reflect in your introduction to the subculture. Could you describe how you first discovered the scene, when and where this happened?
Yeah, I was trying to think about that the other day, actually. And I think it's a pretty similar story as like most people. I have an older brother who was, just happened to be into skateboarding. And I think from a lot of the skate videos, they'd always play like kind of punk music and stuff. So he would start listening to some of that and then be playing with his friends, and I would hear it and I'd just kind of be like, what is that? You know, it was just something different that I never even heard about. So then I started getting into it just through kind of that and just a friend group that we all had. So yeah, and then, I think that was I was like in middle school at the time, so I was pretty young. And then, my friends had little bands and things like that. So they would do shows kind of like at like middle school, like band, like concerts and things like that. And, it just kind of grew from there. We'd go to their houses. They played their bands at their houses. And then as I got older, then I would start, branching out a little bit more. At the time I lived in a pretty rural place. It's called Mayaca, Florida. So it's in the middle of nowhere. It was like in the middle of the woods. So I didn't have much access to like a city. So I think a lot of people are able to find music and shows and things that way. So I didn't have that luxury. So after finding like punk music and kind of finding more bands, and then realizing like there are shows happening, I would just kind of recruit my mom to like drive me to the nearest place. So it would be like, you know, St. Pete or Tampa. She would drive me and a friend or whoever and drop us off to whatever gig, and then she'd go hang out at Starbucks and like pick us up after. So that was basically like the beginning of it. And then later on, when I finally got like a license and I could drive and things, I would drive up to like St. Pete, Tampa, and there's more of a scene. There's a lot of bands playing at the time. So I'd be able to kind of network and meet people that way. And it was funny when I first started going, I didn't really know anyone, so I just kind of lurk in the background, and then people would start, you know, eventually talk to you and be like, what's your deal? And, you know, that's kind of how I got into that, and then just finding more music that way. So
Do you remember the year more or less when this was happening?
So, I mean, like, I was probably like maybe 13 when I first found punk music and, you know, like alternative bands and things like that. And then when I started going up to like St. Pete and Tampa, I was probably around 16. So that's when I first got like a taste of like, oh, this is like a bigger thing. There's stuff happening. Like there's always like these weirdos, and you know, it's like it was just like a whole different world. It was just really cool to be exposed to that when I didn't really have much of that, you know, where I was from.
I imagine going and seeing like, oh, this is bigger than I thought.
yeah. And I just, and, you know, like going there and be like, everyone looks so cool. You know, it was like a bunch of like freaks like wandering around, and like,
Absolutely.
I was like, oh, this is it for me, you know?
Do you remember the specific moment or the place that you realize, well, I think I feel comfortable, like this is where I think I belong. This is the community I think I feel welcome.
I don't, you know, it's like, I don't know if it's a unique experience, but I was always kind of like a weirdo. I feel like growing up, it's like kind of odd. And, so I think when, like, even just early on when I started having friends and we started kind of getting into everything, it just felt right. I don't know. It just kind of like, everybody had like similar ideals, and, we all liked the same things, and it just felt comfortable. You know, you didn't have to try. You were just kind of like immersed immediately, it felt like, you know?
Now, talking about playing in the bands, because you know, we all started just joining the shows and exploring and at that beginning, but eventually you got involved in bands. So how did you start getting involved in bands, and well, what first pushed you throughout music?
Yeah, I mean, I started late. I started like maybe 5-ish years ago. I wish I had started sooner, but like when I was younger, I just didn't think, like, I didn't see a lot of girls doing it at the time, so it just never seemed accessible to me. So I was kind of late to the game. It was kind of like a two-part thing. It was right when COVID kind of was like in the middle of some of the weirdness. So not a lot of bands were touring, not a lot of shows were happening. So there wasn't much to do. And then I do jujitsu, and I got a pretty bad injury where I tore my ACL and I couldn't do jujitsu anymore. So I was out of that, and I was like, well, you know, I guess I can pick up drums, because I'd always really wanted to do it. John, my partner, he's played in a million bands, and he's a great drummer. And I had been kind of bugging him for a while, and we just never really had the time to kind of get out there and do it. And then when all those things kind of landed at the same time, it was just an opportunity to.
Wow.
Yeah, so he just kind of stuck me back there, showed me a couple beats, and then it was like, let's start a band. And I was like, all right.
That's amazing.
Yeah. Because he was playing guitar, and he was like, oh, yeah, you play drums, I'll play guitar. And I was like, all right, well.
Find a way to use the time, an amazing way.
Yeah, got to do something. I'll just do something really new and difficult.
Right. Yeah, because it's like from all the instruments.
Yeah, I know.
The drum has so many things that like happening. Like you
tell me about it.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
So, through all the years that you had been in the scene, in the subculture, you know, all the lyrics, all the music, even before playing the instrument, right? When you were just part of the subculture. How has being part of this community influenced your identity and self of self, right? How the music and the lyrics have shaped you?
Man, like I don't want to say like my entire sense of being has been influenced from music, but I feel like a good amount of it. I mean, it's just so encompassing. I think, obviously there's a lot of political undertones to a lot of the bands. So when you first start listening to it, you're like, oh, this is fast, this is aggressive, this is fun, and then you start kind of listening to things, you're like, oh, they actually have a message. So, I mean, even like, from a political standpoint, or even learning about current events and like dead Kennedys and things like that, I was like learning about history, and I was like, oh, and then I started listening a little bit more. And so I kind of like start kind of raising questions and influencing like some of my feelings about just ethics and politics and things like that. Even so, like, I was really into a lot of like anarcho peace punk bands early on, and like Conflict and Crass and things like that. So like becoming vegetarian and like DIY kind of like subculture type like ethos and things like that. So that was influencing. And then that was another thought I had. There was like even like some of the hardcore bands where they were just like they talk about fitness and like health culture and things like that. And I was like always really drawn to those. And so it's like really, it's little pieces of me have been built through a lot of these bands, and it's just for better or worse, it's really kind of shaped and kind of I don't know, it's just like learning and kind of growing. You just kind of pick up on new things, and depending on where you are in life, you might really internalize a lot of those things.
Absolutely. And sometimes when you don't stop and think about that, how much we have been influenced about is subculture that we have just grow into, and then you stop and think, wow, like there are many aspects of myself that I completely influenced by all the lyrics, the music, the community, everybody.
Yeah.
And so as a woman navigating these subcultures and a scene, what has your experience been like? Have you faced any challenges or any instance of sexism throughout along the way?
No, I mean, I think like the only thing I can really kind of pin down is when just being younger, kind of like when you're first getting into things, all the boys were in bands. So I like no one ever was like, why don't you start a band? I didn't feel like I was more of a spectator. Yeah, I didn't feel like I was included in that, or it was even like ever really an option. When I finally realized like, oh, like anyone can do anything. You just have to do it. And I finally started like putting myself out there and playing shows, which is terrifying. It's still terrifying to me because it's like, it's a lot of pressure. It feels like sometimes it's really fun, but I was always really nervous when we first started playing. But just everybody at the shows would always be so nice. I mean, everyone was so supportive. Everyone was there to help you out. Everyone wants to talk to you after the show or like before the show. So I've had nothing but really good experiences in the scene, honestly. Like it was just really nice because, you hear a lot of negative things from people, as any subculture might experience. But I've had nothing but really positive things, and it's very refreshing to have that because it just kind of reinforces like, this is a subculture and
A community,
basically. Yeah. So it's like, you want those types of people around you. You spend so much time in it. It's refreshing to know that like, there's good people in that too. So.
Oh yeah. Now, as a musician, can you pinpoint or list bands or music that has influenced you as a musician?
Nothing super like particular, honestly. I have like a pretty wide range of things that I like. I'm not a musical savant by any means, and like when I listen, before I started playing drums, I never really focused on a particular instrument. I would just kind of listen and be like, oh, I like this band or I like this song. After playing, now I'm always like really tuned in, or if I'm watching a band, I'm always just like pushing everyone away to stare at the drummer and kind of see. So lately it's been more, I'm like a little bit more tuned into it. So It's not like anyone in particular. It's everyone. Everyone in every band I listen to. I'm just always trying to like see what they're doing, see if there's something that might work for me, and it's all kind of trial and error based off of that. I wish I was one of those people that could just like listen to a band and be like, oh, that's how I want to play, or I mean the one that is the most generic, but like any like Ramones beats, and that's what John, my partner, is always telling me to do is like practice the Ramones, listen to Ramones, and I'm like, okay, well, I want to play fast. So that's a good place to start. I mean,
I imagine that now you evaluate the music, or you listen to music in another way, because maybe songs that you listen before, now you can explore other aspects of the song, paying attention to other things that now you can hear as a musician.
Yeah. It's a whole new world. I can listen to these bands all over again. I'm like, oh.
That's amazing, truly. Yeah, like being a musician for me is like a superpower.
Yeah.
I don't play instruments, but I live with a musician, and I admire so much what you do. It's amazing.
You can do it. Anyone can do it.
Leading to that same line of thinking, of finding others and that support that we have in the subculture. How important it is for people in the subculture to find and support each other. Do you think, is that something that we should think about when we go to the shows? Like,
yeah, I mean, I think that's for anything. Like any human should do that in any context. I mean, yeah, in the music scene especially, because it's daunting, it's different, it's uncomfortable when you first kind of get into it, I think, for some people. So giving anyone the opportunity to feel comfortable, to kind of not be excluded, I think is great. Like gatekeeping has a time and place, but has nothing like no place in that. I think everyone should be welcome, and you see someone stand. And I think it kind of goes like for kids just getting into it, like younger people. It's like if they're standing alone, they don't have any friends with them. It's nice just to kind of be like, hey, what's up? Are you here for the shows? You like any of these bands? And just kind of make them feel at ease. Because if I had someone do that for me, which I did when I was younger, it meant a lot. It makes you want to keep coming back, and then you can support the scene, then you can start bands. So it's just putting it back into the system. You get a lot more out of it.
Absolutely. We all been there at some point. Yeah. Now, talking about the joy in the scene, as a musician, what brings you most joy in the process of creating music, the practice, and then performing? Like, what brings you more joy?
I'm probably an outlier, but I love practicing. Like, I really enjoy it. I don't know if it's just maybe from just like having like a sports background and things like that, but I love putting the time and the work into the thing. And then playing the show is always like a nice payoff, but I really like seeing the product from the work that you put in, and then it getting better and tighter a little more each time. And it just is like, it's very gratifying to me, because I can just really connect to that. And then obviously, like when you get to play the show and gauge people's responses, which whatever, I don't really care if they like it or not. I hope they do. but it's just nice. It's a nice end result of all the time and effort that you put into it, because it is a lot of work. I mean, anybody that does it, and that's something that I realized too, is like anyone who's in a band, I immediately respect, because it's you're taking your own time. You're practicing, you're rehearsing, you're putting a lot of effort into this one product. And it's respectable, and it's something that people can't do. So I'm always like, anyone that puts themselves out there, I think it's really nice and a refreshing thing.
Can you walk us through how you started playing with each of the bands? Let's begin with Wire Up. How that started?
Well, I was with John, so we already had a drummer and a guitar player. He wanted to play something a little bit more like rock and roll oi style. So we just kind of started jamming. I mean, we both love Slade, so we kind of wanted like a Slade kind of vibe, or like Rose Tattoo, like those style bands. So we just kind of started jamming, and then the early iterations of that band had a lot of like turnover with people coming, going, and changing lineup. So it took a while for us to get like a pretty solid lineup. But between me, John, and Pat, the vocalist, we were kind of like the beginning members. So And they both, John's played in bands forever, and Pat is just like a musical encyclopedia, so he knows everything about different bands and things like that. So he's really good at having input and kind of developing everything. So we had a general idea of how we wanted it to sound, and it just kind of came along. And then with each kind of member that would come and go, we just kind of narrowed it down to what we wanted it to be like. So.
Yes. And for Esprit the Corpse, it's interesting because there's a collaboration that transcends spaces.
Yeah.
How did that happen?
So I don't really remember. I mean, so it was John, I, and then Chris, who plays guitar and Wired Up. He's also a bass player. We had a side project, so we had just kind of been like simultaneously working on that while we were doing some Wired Up stuff and writing kind of just like a demo. John wanted to do kind of more like a French Oi style project. We kind of shopped around for some singers in town. Nothing really stuck. And then we just kind of knew Carl from, bands and Montreal Oi Fest, and just kind of shooting messages like on Instagram and online and things like that. So just being friends that way, and we sent him kind of the songs, and he was into it. So we're just like, oh, let's just record a little demo, and we did, and it sounded good. And we're like, oh, let's play some shows. So that's basically how that kind of happens, like organically, just from all that, and it's great. So our first show was Montreal Oi Fest, and we had never practiced.
Oh, and it sounded amazing.
It was great, yeah. We practiced a couple days before, and like our first
posted our first practice together.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. It was like, well, let's see how this goes, and like we went through one, and we're all kind of like, oh, it was good. Like, okay. Like, you could go two ways, but it was great. And then we just kind of, crushed it out, and then we had our show, and it was great.
How was that experience to play, in other scene so far away?
Oh, well, I mean, in Montreal, that was the first like out of country show. We had our first show, and my first time playing out of the country, and I think Chris's first time out of the country. I'm not gonna lie, I was nervous because it was in front of Carl's home turf. So I'm like, oh my God, I can't embarrass him in front of all his friends. but it was great. It's like Montreal is such a great scene, and everyone, they're Canadian, they're all really nice. So everyone was like super welcoming and very sweet, and it was a really wonderful experience. And plus that lineup was amazing too. Like we got to see a ton of great bands. And
this year, well, every year, but this year as well was an amazing list of bands over there. Awesome. And in Spain?
Yeah, that one I've been 1 year, and it was really fun because it's like right on the beach. So it's like you go to the show, and then you just like
imagine
out on the beach for like the whole. It's like this is my dream fest. I don't even like fest that much. I'm like, oh, I have to like be in a hot venue for like the entire day. But this, I'm like, oh man, I get to go like hang out on the beach, and then I get to go watch music, and that sounds perfect. Yeah.
That is awesome. So, reflecting on all these, experiences and your journey as an adult now here in the subculture, what changes or improvements would you like to see moving forward?
We can always encourage more. I think that's like a really big part of it is, getting people to start more bands. I mean, the only reason that exists is because people play and they're interested in it. So, having the spaces to do it, making sure that those spaces are like supported and people go to shows. I mean, like Gainesville is a small place, but it has a pretty good scene for everything considered. And, we have a really nice DIY space that is collectively run. And, so anytime there's shows, it's nice just to go, even if you don't really know the band, just go support and be out there, be present, do what you can, because that's once again, the only way that it will continue to get better is if people put the effort and time into it. So that would be my take.
No, absolutely. Yes. Yeah. Is the only way to keep this running and being able to enjoy it the way we have done it.
Exactly. No one else is going to give us a grant. So.
Yeah. Now, do you have any incoming performance that you want to share?
Yeah. So Esprit is playing in Gainesville before Beach Beer Chaos. So we're going to be playing with Acta Non Verba and Piston from Tallahassee, awesome band. And then a local guy, Waylon, will be doing, I think, performing also. So that'll be a really fun show. I think that's August 1st or 3rd. It's a Saturday, like the first Saturday of August. So that'll be a really fun time. I think Carl's been to Florida once before, but so Carl will be in Florida for that. So yeah, if anyone's around, that'd be great to have people come out for that. And then the week after that, then we're going to Spain, Barcelona. So
that's awesome. Amazing. Thank you, truly, for collaborating with me and letting me share your story and your experiences in the subculture. And your work that you have done and the music that you create, that is very significant to see you. As you said, like, seeing a woman performing and doing it is impactful. I know that a lot of people, this course is like, no, it should not matter, but it does. It does matter. It does matter to see you there playing and being so awesome.
Yeah, anyone can do it. This is really fun. I hope I didn't ramble too much. I had a great time. Anyone can do it. You just have to do the thing. And I love that you're doing this. You put so much time into it. It's so professional. I mean, it's a really great. I was like watching a lot of them like throughout the week because I was just like, what am I getting into? They're really well done interviews, and it's like it's like a podcast format and everything too. You can tell you put a lot of work into it.
I thank you, truly. Thank you everyone for listening. Remember to check out our Spotify playlist featuring Erin's music recommendations. This was Naya Maji. Until the next episode of Beats and Boots, Music and Subculture Stories.